Morning. My name is Chris Early. I've been a member here at Olive Branch for a while now. Wanted to talk a little bit this morning about an event that happened in my life last year. It was actually the loss of one of my friends. The August the 11th was the day that he passed away, so it's just been six months have passed since that. His name was Kevin Humphreys. He was a guy from Roanoke who married a girl that I grew up with around here. Many of you probably already know her name is Kristen Piercy. And some of you probably, if not most of you, already know about what happened to him on his 30th birthday, which was August the 5th of 2010. He had a stroke at a drive-through at a bank in Salem where they lived, and tragically passed away 6 days later in a hospital in Roanoke. My initial reaction was, why? Why does God let this happen to him? Kevin wasn't just some normal guy that you see off the street. He was a Virginia State police officer. He was a state trooper. Along with that, he was a great husband, father, and a very loyal friend. When you think of Virginia State police officers, you think of big, tough, strong guys, and that's what he was. And so my first initial reaction was just, why? How can this happen to somebody like Kevin? I wanted to question God. I wanted to say, God, why did you let this happen? Why, bring this tragedy into the life of his wife and his young child, to such a good man? And then after we started with the grief process and coping with it, I realized that God was at work, actually, when he passed away, because they went to the bank and something was wrong with the transaction, so they had to drive back around the bank. And then that's when he actually had the stroke. So, it was bad that it happened, but the timing of it, if it had to happen, could not have been better. They were parked, they were sitting at a drive-through. Just 3 minutes either side of that, they would have been on the interstate. So, you see, you want to question God, but also you see it afterwards, kind of why things have played out like they did. In coping with the loss of Kevin, I spent a lot of time with God during that time period, just talking to him, just spending time with him. As I said, we were on vacation, so I was surrounded by not only my friends, but people who also knew Kevin, and they were friends with him. So it was that made the coping and the grief process a little easier on us. And then for Kevin's funeral, as a state police officer, he was given the most honorable and respectful funeral that I've ever been a part of. So that that was also something that was helped not give it closure, but helped us grieve and to cope with his loss. As I said, I spent a lot of time praying, and I think by doing that, God has changed things in my life, again, because of going through the tragedy of losing someone so close to me in age. During the grief process, anytime you lose someone close to you, a family member or a friend, there's always going to be a period of grief. And I was listening to a CD in my truck on the way to the beach for our vacation, and a song came on from my very own Anthony Wall, singer-songwriter, the best one I know. He is the only one I know, but he's the best one I know. In the lyrics of this song says you're going to live today in a way that if tomorrow comes, you will not be ashamed of how you live today. So that just really hit me, that with him possibly, being on the verge of passing away, that I needed to change the way that I was living my own life. And some of the ways that I did that, I'm going to talk about now. Just taught me that life is very, very fragile. You can be here today and gone tomorrow. As I said, this guy's a state trooper. Nobody expected anything like this to happen to him. So one of the things that it definitely taught me is to love and cherish each day that I have, be it with my family, my friends, even at work. Just be glad that you have that day. Secondly, is my spouse. I've learned to appreciate Marianne more than I did before this happened. sometimes we may have disagreements. I know that's a surprise, but married people do disagree, and I'm thankful that I have her here to disagree with me. The next thing is my son. Kevin left a 2-year-old daughter behind, and so it again made me redirect portions and parts of my life to cherish, as I said, my family, my friends, and my son. I cherish every single moment that I have with him. And then the other thing that physically for me, Kevin's death made me become more health conscious, and I've lost quite a bit of weight and have been running a lot since his death. So, you look back and again, you want to question, why did this happen, to such a good guy? But then you kind of see, this is what God did. This is why this happened. So this is going to be the end result. And this is just me that I'm talking about today. His death has impacted so many people that I can't even begin to tell you the different stories that I've heard, the way that, losing him as a friend or a family member has changed other people. After going through the book of Job, it definitely has given some insight on, the situation with Kevin. I actually had read through the book of Job prior to his death as I went through the Bible chronologically. And just one of the things that I admire so much about Job is the patience that he showed. And as I said, I try to show more patience with my spouse and my children and in my everyday life. Looking back at just to see that what God does, even though we don't understand it today, we can't look forward, 10, 15, 20 years from now, either 10 and 15 days from now, to know what God is doing in our lives, why we have to go through these things to get to where God wants us to be. And I think he does that. I think he uses events like that in our life to build us up, to prepare us for something in the future. Just a couple weeks ago, Pastor Michael talked about when God actually spoke to Job. He had been quiet that whole time, and then he spoke up, and he's like, you didn't make all of this. You didn't create the world. You didn't create man. And that, that just thinking about that, he's right. We are so small in the grand scheme of things, and God is so powerful that, we just have no idea what he did, why he does this today, what it's going to be used for in our lives for the future.